Hello everyone, my name is Farzad Heydari. Welcome to MikroTik user meeting, MOM. This is the third time that I'm in MOM. I'm a trainer. I'm also MikroTik certified trainer, as you can see here. I've got a lot of experience in IT field, around 17 years. And as you can see here, these are my international certificates. Today, I want to tell you about the Vrrp. And another thing that I want you to tell you is that tomorrow we will have MTCNA class. You are welcome to join my MTCNA class tomorrow. Yes, thank you, Nikita. And this is the last training session that I had in Da Nang. Many of these people now are MikroTik certified specialists, as Mr. Wang, who is here, this guy, is MikroTik certified consultant. This course was for CTC company in Da Nang. These people now are specialists in MikroTik. In this presentation, this is outline of this presentation. I want to tell you about Vrrp introduction at first. At first, I will tell you about the concept of the Vrrp that is very important for you, and then the sample configuration, which is really easy, so you can learn how to configure Vrrp, and the operation, the security consideration. When you configure the Vrrp, the security problem, should you know about the security at first, and the Vrrp hello packet that I will show you. At the end, we will have Q&A session. So let's get started with the Vrrp. Vrrp stands for Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol. Here is the Vrrp. Why we should use Vrrp? Is there anyone to use Vrrp here? No? No, Nikita? No? 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 Okay, let's get started. Here, imagine you have this scenario. This is the simple scenario that you will have one MikroTik, one internet connection. What happens if you need your MikroTik to be in a maintenance mode? For example, you want to turn off your MikroTik, or maybe your MikroTik will go down. What happened? What would happen? What would you do if your MikroTik goes down, like this one? So you put another MikroTik here. As you can see, I put another MikroTik here. Here you have internet connection. Here you have two branches, and here you have OSPF routing protocol. First of all, this topic is not about OSPF configuration, but you have to know how to advertise OSPF default route. Here I will show you how to use default route in OSPF. For advertising default route in OSPF, first of all, you have to redistribute the default route on the OSPF. This topic is not about the OSPF configuration, but you have to know how to configure OSPF at first. In OSPF tab, first you have to go to the interface and then go to the instance, and then you have to redistribute your default route to your routers. Here, redistribute default route. If installed means if you have default route on your router, the OSPF will advertise your default route. The type 2 means do not aggregate the cost of the route. So you have to first advertise default route, and then we will go to the Vrrp configuration. Here we will have Vrrp configuration. At the first, you have to choose which interface do you want to be in a group at first. Here is first go to the interface menu, Vrrp tab, and then you have to choose which interface do you want to be in a group. So this is the first router. We want to put two routers together. One router is active, another is standby, which means in Vrrp we called it master and backup. The master is the router is working and the backup is standby router. So at the first you have to put your interface, you have to choose which interface wants to be in a group. In this configuration is the first router, and the next configuration is for second router. I choose ether 2 for being in a group. So another thing that you have to know is that VRID. I put 0 here. You can choose 12255 as a VRID. Both routers should be in the same VRID. So, and let's get started with priority. As I mentioned before, the first router is a master. You want to have a router in a master. The router who is master is the router that your traffic goes through the router, and the other is the backup router. Here, I put priority 150, which means I want to be this router be a master, and I want to this router will go all my traffic from go through the outside. And the default priority is 100. If you don't put the priority, the default priority is 100. And for backup, I put 110 for backup. The highest priority will be your master. The lowest priority will be your backup. So, another thing is that the interval. All VRRP routers belonging to the same VRID must configure with the same advertisement interval. This is the hello packet. The master will send hello packet each minute, each second. For example, in this scenario, we have interval 1. Both routers should have the same interval. So here we have preemption mode. If one of your router goes down, the backup will be a master. Your router will work and your traffic will go through the master. The backup will be your master. So when you come back your backup, when you bring back your backup, the backup won't be a master if you put this one, preemption mode, which means you want your backup to be a master again. But I won't recommend you, because I practice this one a lot. When you put the preemption mode and when you bring it back up, bring it again in the virtual, it's gonna be a little bit outage for your network. Around 3 seconds you will face with outage. Another thing that you have to consider is authentication. Imagine someone comes into your group with higher priority, with higher preemption, so it's gonna be your master. So we should be careful about your master, about your group here. In this scenario, we have 2 different types of authentication. Simple, which is not recommended by me, and also MikroTik. Simple means clear text. All people can see your password. So the AH is authentication header, so I recommend you to use authentication header as your authentication here. The password that I put here is a MikroTik that I use 040 and another one. So I recommend you, when you have VRRP group, use authentication, because the hello packet of VRRP sent in multicast. All people can see your multicast. Someone asked about the middle, man in the middle attack in network. Here it can be a man in the middle, because VRRP group is be your master, is your default gateway. So be careful about the VRRP authentication. So we always use AH authentication header as a authentication. If two routers have the same authentication, they can be in a group. So be careful. And another thing that after your configuration has finished, first you have to put an IP address on VRRP group. The MikroTik has created an interface. So you have to put an IP address on VRRP interface. As you can see here, here is in interface tab. Here, I put an IP address here. You can see here, I put this IP address on VRRP interface. The VRRP interface has created by MikroTik automatically. So, as I mentioned before, one of our router is master, another is backup. So, to identify which router is master, you can see here RM means running and M means master. And I want you to know how to identify the backup. The backup is here. You can see the backup is here. The backup is the standby router. The backup is waiting. If the master goes down, the backup will be master and works immediately. So, as you may know, if you want to put default gateway here, in this scenario, I use Microsoft, for example. This is the Windows. I put the group IP as my default gateway. You know here, my default gateway is the IP address that I put here. I put interface IP address here to the group, and this IP address is my default gateway. Okay, let's get a start. This is my test. I turn off the one MikroTik, and I saw that the master is turned off. After around 3 seconds, the other goes up. So your customer won't understand your outage of your service. This is the best solution that you want to have redundancy. This is the best solution. The VRRP doesn't have any load balancing. The people think that the VRRP has built-in load balancing. There is no load balancing. This is a failover solution. So here you can see I ping the DNS of the public DNS, and I turn off the MikroTik, one MikroTik, and I saw that the one request timeout, and then the backup is master now. So the other problem that we know, as you may know, each client has to know about the MAC address of the interface. We have two different interfaces, two different MAC address. You know, when a gateway, when a client wants to go out, the client needs the MAC address of default gateway. So our problem is that here we have two different interfaces with two different MAC address. What we should do, there is a problem. When a PC, when a client send ARP request, who should answer the ARP request? We have two different interfaces, which is now in one group. But our problem is that, which MAC address? So, in this scenario, we have virtual router MAC address, which is assigned by IEEE. This is the standard MAC address. As you can see here, this MAC address is assigned to virtual interface that is created by MikroTik. Here you can see this MAC address. This is a VRID. Do you remember what was my VRID? It was 9. Here, when you put, for example, when you run Winbox, as you may all of you know about the Winbox, when you run Winbox here, you can see this MAC address here. And this one is VRID. As I mentioned before, I use 0 for my VRID. So my virtual MAC address here, you can see here 0, 9. This is the ARP cache of the Windows. If you put ARP -A, you can see your ARP cache here. This is my default gateway. And another thing that you should know, this is the MAC address of virtual interface. This MAC address is reserved for VRRP and is assigned by VRRP interface. So be careful about the group number. So this output is from Wireshark. You know here, this is the source of IP of interface, and this is the destination of interface IP address. So here you can, the real IP address of interface you can see here. This one is real IP address of interface, and the destination is 224. This is the multicast, as you know the IP. This is the multicast 224.00.18 is the multicast that is assigned by IANA, Internet Assigned Number Authority. This multicast address is reserved for VRRP group. The packet, the hello packet that is sent by master, the source address is the master, the real IP address of the master interface, and the destination is this one. So this is the multicast of VRRP, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol. Be careful about the VRRP packet. The TTL, time to leave packet for VRRP, is set to 2554B in a group. If the router get the packet from VRRP that the TTL is not set to 255, the router will discard the packet. So the packet should be in this TTL. And another thing that we have two different versions of the VRRP. The version 2 is for IPv4. The version 3 is for IPv6. Here is the configuration of the IPv6 is the same as the IPv4. Don't worry, is quite easy. For the configuration, IPv6 configuration for VRRP, you should go to Interface tab, VRRP, add the name, whatever you want. You put you have to choose the Ether. Which Ethernet do you want to be in a group? And then you have to set which version do you want to use. In this version, I want to use the IPv6, so I have to put version 3. And another thing, you have to put the IP address on the interface in IPv6, and no additional configuration is needed for configuration IPv6. This is the really quite easy configuration for configuration VRRP. We had one master, we had one backup. If the master goes down, the backup goes up immediately. You do not face any outage. And also, this is the cost-effective solution. If you have another vendor, for example, if you have another vendor for Cisco, it is possible to use VRRP because VRRP is a standard protocol, so you can use both of them together. If you have Cisco routers and MikroTik routers, you can put together as a virtual interface. If you have any question, I'm available to answer your question. And I want to tell you some things as I have 3 minutes. So thanks for your attention. I want to introduce some courses as many people in Vietnam ask me to introduce MikroTik courses. So I want to introduce some courses in 3 minutes because I do not have time. So these courses of MikroTik, the first courses that you have to pass is MTCNA, MikroTik Certified Network Associate, and then these courses that I will conduct here in Vietnam. The first courses is MTCNA, the other courses is MTCRE, MTCWE, MTCTC, and MTCUME. And if you want to participate MTCINE, first of all, you have to pass the MTCNA course, then you have to pass the MTCRE course. At least you have to have 2 courses, and then you have to participate in MTCINE. If you have any question, I'm available here. I can help you. We have a MikroTik certified consultant here. So he can speak in Vietnamese. If you have any problem, we can help you in also in Vietnamese language. So don't worry. If you have any question, I'm here. Thanks, Paul and Martin. Martin was my teacher in Dubai, I think 3 years ago. Thanks, Paul, for accepting me for presenting in this MOM. If you have any question, I'm here regarding to my course, regarding to the VRRP also, and another things on MikroTik. I'm here till end of the MOM. I will see you at the end of the MOM for drinking. Thank you.